to the Fantasy Football Fanatics podcast with your hosts Griffin Palmer, CJ Hickman, Jason Cabrera, and Ryan Mitchell.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the show. It is Friday, June 23rd. Where does the time go? And welcome to the Fantasy Football Fanatics podcast. I'm your host, Griffin Palmer, joined over the phone by my co-analyst, CJ the Hitman Hickman. What's up, CJ?
Hey, guys.
Hey, what's up? And, of course, Jason Cabrera. What's up, Jason?
How's it going?
Hello, amigo.
All right. Anyway.
Little NBA draft. You guys watching the draft?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not, but I figured you guys
You're
probably
not
were.
watching the draft. You didn't watch the draft.
I did watch the draft. I saw the draft at work, and I saw that we picked up a person, Josh Jackson. I'm very excited about that.
Yeah.
I saw Lorenzo Ball went to the Lakers. I know the Lakers are very mad about that, and then it was pretty good.
All right,
and
so
the Knicks were just upset in general.
We'll table this for our NBA talk that we'll do in the post show or something. So
Yeah,
anyway,
right.
Table it.
We'll table it. Welcome to the show. Like I said, the Fantasy Football Fanatics podcast. We have an amazing show for you guys today. Today we're doing some ADP investigating. So that's your average draft position. We're going to be talking about a couple guys who we think are going either too late, too early, guys who are steals, people who we are seeing some trends, and of course their value changes week to week, month to month. So we're trying to project where they're going to end up. So should be a lot of good information there. Of course, we're going to bring you all the top headlines from around the league. As always, a bit of bookkeeping. Make sure you guys subscribe to the show on iTunes, on Stitcher, on Podcast Addict, on YouTube, the works. Please make sure you guys stick with us. We are a year-round show every Tuesday and Friday through the offseason, through the regular season, bringing you all the waiver wire additions that you need to know, starts and sits, things of that nature. And that's just the easiest way to keep up. Subscribe. The episodes, they come to your mobile device. It's a lot of fun. Also, of course, if you want to interact with the show and submit your questions, you can find us on Twitter at the FF Fanatics. We are on Facebook at facebook.com/thefantasyfootballfanatics. You can email us your questions as well at thefantasyfootballfanatics@gmail.com. And, of course, if you want to support the show, we got a couple new people who joined us this past week, the last couple days, so welcome to the Patreon, everybody. If you guys want to help us keep these lights on, which we appreciate the help and helps us keep doing what we're doing, head over to patreon.com/thefantasyfootballfanatics, where even the lowest level of contribution per month will get you a bonus episode every single week, and that's always much more advanced and in-depth topics. If you guys listen to the show, I eventually got that out on YouTube as well, so everybody should have gotten their hands on it. We talk a lot of IDP over there lately, more advanced stuff that we just don't get to as much here on the main show. So if you guys really like those more advanced concepts of fantasy football, IDP, individual defensive players, auction-style drafting, all of that, we talk about that stuff pretty regularly over on the Patreon show. So again, that's patreon.com/thefantasyfootballfanatics. And final bit of bookkeeping. Again, if you want to play fantasy football against us here at the show, iTunes Listener Review Challenge. All you have to do is go to iTunes, give us a rating, give us a review. Make sure you leave a Twitter handle at the bottom of it so we can reach out to you if you are selected in August when we randomly select who wins. And if you win, you'll be able to play against us in fantasy football in a listener league. So bring it on. We are ready. If you think you can beat us, that's all you have to do. Rating and review. So again, let's go ahead and move on. No warm-up question today. We're going to move right into our top headlines from around the league. Quite a bit of big news that broke this past week, starting with a league-wide headline that Kansas City head coach Andy Reid has signed a contract extension. So, well-deserved. The team has won quite a few games since he got there. They've been a perennial playoff contender, and the details of the contract have yet to be disclosed, but kudos to Andy Reid. Interesting bit of news. General manager John Dorsey was let go in the process. Everyone thought that they were both going to get extensions, and Andy Reid staying on, John Dorsey out the door with a team that he helped build, which most are considering possibly the most talented from top to bottom in the league. So, guys, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, I definitely agree. Andy Reid getting this contract extension, well deserved. I mean, he was going through a rough patch when he was with Philly, man. That last couple of years, after his son died and everything. But it felt like he revitalized his career in KC, man, and they made them some good basically a good playoff team that's a contender each and every year. It's a little interesting about the GM switch now. Maybe that he takes over that role. They put him in that position. I think he has enough talent to be able to handle that. But it is pretty surprising that they both didn't get extended.
Yeah, Jason?
Yeah, there might be something going on there that we're not aware of, behind the scenes and all that. I'm not a big fan of making the coach the general manager as well. I like the idea of having the coach be the coach and have your general manager and have them be on the same page and everything. So I hope that's not the case for them. Not to say Reed couldn't do it. It's just for me personally, I'd rather have my coach, focusing on coaching, and not necessarily on trying to be the general manager. As far as Dorsey goes, like I said, there may be something going on there we're not privy to, some sort of clash, or maybe he was just done. More than likely, if he still wants a job in the league, I would suspect that he would find one soon.
I would assume so. By all accounts, they are beginning to fill the position. They're looking into options to fill it. So I don't think Andy Reid's going to become the general manager per se, but we'll see how it plays out. Let's move on to some quarterback news where Derek Carr has signed a 5-year, $125 million contract extension. This will make him the highest paid player in league history, averaging $25 million per year. He is under contract through the 2020 season. He's got $40 million guaranteed, about $70.2 million in guarantees throughout
2022 season.
2022 season, yes. So $40 million fully guaranteed, $70.2 in total guarantees. So guys, Derek Carr, now the highest paid player in the league. Thoughts on this?
Vegas, baby.
Vegas, indeed.
Is it right? He's a phenomenal quarterback. I mean, he's getting better and better every year. If he hadn't been injured, I think that we would have seen a much different end of the season last year. Well deserved, I guess. Yeah, I mean that's crazy that he's the highest paid player in history. That's wow. But I think he has the ability to definitely be one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the league very soon.
Yeah, I definitely agree with Jason, man. He definitely deserved it. You've seen this is when an organization does it right. They draft a kid that has great upside. He goes out there, performs. They continue year after year, put talent around him, continue to nurture his, the talent there, man, and try to get the best out of him. And that's what they've done. That's like Jason said, if he didn't get that injury, man, we would have been looking at a very different playoff results. And I definitely wholeheartedly believe that if the Raiders met with the Patriots, man, Patriots might not have gone to the Super Bowl, man. I just think that team was just so hot and they were riding that momentum that was going to take them to the ship. And then you add this Vegas factor. Now, this is a kid you want to keep in your stable and continue to build around him. So I love the Raiders doing this, man. And this is another team on the West Coast I'm going to be cheering for.
A lot of reports are indicating that this is a very team-friendly deal. It is giving them enough ability to maneuver around and still sign players like the left tackle, whose name is escaping me, who's been kind of criminally underpaid. I can't believe I'm blanking on it. Also, Khalil Mack, who's coming up on his contract soon. So it gives them flexibility to still sign those guys. And it seems to be kind of backloaded, so not necessarily so they can maybe extend or renegotiate or anything like that down the line, but for when they make the move to Vegas where there are considerable tax breaks. So, it's a win-win for Derek Carr. It's good for the Oakland Raiders organization. And though now they're going to have to take into account paying that quarterback. They've been signing a lot of top-tier talent over the couple years where they were taking advantage of him while he was still in his rookie contract. So it'll be interesting to see how they make moves going forward. But, hey, Derek Carr, look, he finished 11th on the NFL Top 100, clearly well-respected around the league among his peers. We all have seen that he is very talented. I remember his rookie year in preseason throwing all over the Seattle Seahawks defense. Of course, it's preseason, but that's something you take note of, and he's been in my eye ever since. So Derek Carr, a guy that we really like for fantasy reasons, and a really, really high-tiered young talent in the league. He's going to be around for a long time to come. So, well-deserved. And, of course, that's just setting the market. The next quarterback will probably exceed this contract, and that's just the way it goes. Next bit of quarterback news. The Cleveland Plain Dealers, Mary Kay Cabot? Reports, whatever. Cleveland Browns rookie quarterback Deshaun Kaiser has, quote, considerably narrowed the gap to veteran Cody Kessler. So that's kind of interesting. Of course, there were a lot of reports initially in mini camps and stuff that he had a lot of learning to do, but it seems like he's been making great strides with every single camp and OTA. And by all accounts, at the end of OTAs, it was Kaiser and it was Kessler that were working with the ones, and Brock Osweiler was working exclusively with the twos. So that's kind of interesting. As he should, but early reports are saying that Brock Osweiler was shining in camp, and this is why all this pre-preseason reporting from beat writers, it's hard to find the truth out there unless you're seeing it for your own eyes. What are you guys' thoughts on this situation in Cleveland?
Well, I think anything is better than Brock right now. I mean, even in the reports that we've been hearing, they've been saying that he's doing all right, I guess. But I like to see Deshaun Kaiser in there. I think he'll just add a different mix, a different flavor to the offense, because those pieces that they have there to succeed, they need a quarterback that, can be able to get them the ball and be poised and know how to read defenses, man. And this rookie is showing that he's that guy, that he can be able to do that for them. Hey, that's going to be good. That's going to be good for Njoku. That's going to be good for Corey Coleman and the other pieces that are there. So I hope this is the case. I hope he continues to keep up with this.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, of all the quarterbacks that came out of the draft, I thought Deshaun Kaiser might be the most ready to play in the NFL. I still don't think he's ready to be the starter, especially as the starter for a team that's been notoriously bad. Now they have the best situation that they've had in years right now to put him there, as far as they have an upgraded offensive line. They've got a good running back who I think is going to turn a lot of heads this year, and some decent weapons in that young rookie tight end and some really good receivers. So they've actually got a nice. And when's the last time we could say this about Cleveland? They've actually got a nice situation in Cleveland right now. And if that rookie proves to be able to deliver the ball like he needs to, then he could be set up for success. The only problem is, again, I don't think he's going to be ready yet. There's just too much to learn. I think they go with Kessler to start the season. Maybe halfway through the season, Kaiser comes in and takes over.
I mean, it'll be interesting to see. I don't know if I expect Kaiser to start. By all accounts, they are very pro sitting him for a while and letting him learn.
Yeah.
Though, if he was to start again, they have drastically upgraded the offensive line, so maybe he's got a shot. Who knows? But we'll see how things go. Of course, training camp will be very telling. Let's move on to some running back news, where the Seattle Times' Bob Candotta believes that Eddie Lacy and Thomas Rawls will, quote, take a fairly equal share of base down carries, end quote.
No,
so,
no.
I call BS on this for a number of reasons.
Yeah, I do too.
One, they're paying Eddie Lacy a lot of money for a reason, and he's been meeting his weight incentives. Two, Eddie Lacy, if he can get down to that weight, he is way more productive than Thomas Rawls. And I like Thomas Rawls, but I would take Eddie Lacy 10 times out of 10. Three, they do basically the same skill set, so why would that be a thing? I think Thomas Rawls, and this is what we've been saying the whole time, Thomas Rawls is probably going to spell Eddie Lacy, and then they're going to have CJ Prosise be their change of pace back. So what are you guys' thoughts here?
I think you hit it right on the head. I think that's garbage. I think Eddie Lacy is the more productive guy, the more talented guy. I think Rawls will be a backup, and Prosise will be the change of pace, just like you said.
I think it's going to be a very good and very intriguing eye, watching on this training camp when it comes to these two guys. Eddie Lacy's been on track for everything when it comes to weight requirements. Thomas Rawls, he's going to have to step up. So if yes, the money shows that Eddie Lacy could be the guy, but if this is the one thing about the Seahawks, what they love is competition. And if the competition shows that Thomas Rawls is the guy, you're going to see Thomas Rawls be that starter and Eddie Lacy be the guy relieving him. That's just the way that they run their system. I mean, it's smart. I mean, the smart thing is to think that Eddie Lacy's going to do it just because of the money, but they play a lot different when it comes to that. I mean, we can go back to when Matt Flynn was their quarterback, but then they draft Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson's the one that shines, performs. They put him in there, even though they paid Matt Flynn all that money.
So much money.
Put Russell in there. So much money. I agree with you that this could be bull. But once again, you got to know the team. You got to know their history. And this team loves and lives and breathes and preaches competition. And if it comes out the other way that Ross is the guy, then you're going to see Ross be the starter.
Man, I forgot about Matt Flynn. He made so much money and got so many contracts because they had one record-setting game in his one start in Green Bay.
Your boy know football, man. All right?
Man.
I'm going to put some names out there and make you think. Okay.
It was a good name drop. I liked it. Let's move on to some wide receiver news, where Baltimore Ravens wide receiver Jeremy Maclin revealed that he played through a torn groin during 2016 season.
Ouch.
So this is convenient timing to me. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't doubt he probably had an injury. I don't know how severe it was. He definitely was not the same player. And so I guess on one hand, this is reassuring to know that hopefully all the problems are resolved. But I just feel like the timing's a little convenient for the story to be coming out. But, if he can get back to the same player he was, 2015, over 1,000 yards, 8 touchdowns, I think that's exactly what the Ravens are looking for, a long of 61 yards. So, I don't know. What do you guys think? He was one of your Eagles for longer than he's been anywhere else, CJ.
Well, the history shows. I mean, he had a great year. That last year he was with us with the Eagles with Chip Kelly, and he had a good year with Kansas City. So that last year it was really odd and really unfortunate. I know I had him in a couple keeper leagues of mine, and to see that the numbers that he put up. So there's this report to come out. I'm hoping that this was the case. And it's not just that he just got outplayed or he just didn't have it last year. So I'm hoping that it's true. But and a lot. I said the same piece with Davari Parker last year. That hey, look, you go out there on the field. If you're hurt, listen, you're still showing me that you're playing. So even if an injury or not, you're still affecting me fantasy wise. If it's that bad and you can't play through it, stay on the bench because you're hurting me fantasy. So I fantasy wise, I call BS because you still went out there and played. So that's not encouraging me at all. Knowing that this went down, they should have set you down. You shouldn't have been playing.
He had a very similar yards per catch from 2015 to 2016. Went from 12.5 to 12.2. It was his yards per game that took a big drop from 72.5 to 44.7. So there was your drop off. He just wasn't getting as many catches. Jason, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, that's something to keep an eye on as far as that goes, playing with a torn groin. If you're hurt, don't play. I mean, it could shorten your career. Bad things could possibly happen, and you're not giving your team the best you possibly could. So if he knew that he was hurt, he should probably have let his team know. If the team knew he was hurt, they should have sat him down. I agree with CJ.
Let's think about the most important thing here, how it affects us as fantasy players.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And I meant to say Devontae Parker, not Davari. That's a basketball player.
I was wondering who Davari Parker was.
I assume
Devontae
that's what
Parker,
you meant.
sorry.
All right.
I've never heard of this guy. He's dropping more names I've never heard before.
Name dropper. All right. Anything else? You want to move on? Good.
Yeah, we can move on.
I mean, if he's healthy, then and he's healthier, yeah, he could totally do well, especially with that big arm Flacco throwing the ball. So
triple threat.
Flacco triple threat. Woo. All right. No tight end news. A little bit of other news. I hate everything. The New England Patriots have signed unrestricted free agent linebacker David Harris to a 2-year deal.
Good grief.
The Jets'
And
leading tackler from a year ago. I'm
just going to call the Patriots DJ Khaled because they just get another player that just went under the radar to people. And now they're going to just add him and he's going to have like 79 tackles, 15 forced fumbles, and probably 4 touchdowns.
It's super team, man. It's like the NBA. They're just creating a super team over there.
Yep. So, New England got yet another very good player very late. The details of the contract have not been revealed. I can't imagine it was much. I don't know how much cap space the Patriots have offhand, but they've made so many signings already. But, players take cap-friendly deals to go play for a team that they're probably going to get a Super Bowl ring with. So, the Patriots. Let's move on, shall we? Unrestricted free agent cornerback Justin Gilbert has been suspended for 1 full year for violating the league's substance abuse policy. So, former first-round bust continues to dig a hole. His career, I have to imagine, is pretty darn close to being over. That's disappointing to see. So, all right. Go ahead.
I'm about to say it's tough. We see situations like this. Another kid that has a lot of talent and then just squander away. We remember a guy that came out of Jacksonville that was a first-round pick for them, Justin Blackman. You don't know the last time you heard his name, right?
It's been a while.
Yeah.
All right, so we good? Anything else? We're good? We can move on?
Yeah, we're good.
All right, let's move on moving on to the topic of the day, which is our ADP, or average draft position investigations. So we're looking into these guys. We're on the case. We're doing some price checks. We're looking at guys who we think, again, that may be going too early, that you're going to want to avoid, guys who might be going too late. They could be steals, guys who we are seeing trending in one way, up or down. So guys to watch. So, you guys want to run down the list? You want to do this random? How do you guys want to do this? I think we can start off at least with the first guy on the list, and that is one.
Probably a good plan.
Yeah, let's start off with Michael Crabtree. Now, Michael Crabtree is currently going in the 5th round. Now, not only was he a wide receiver 1 last year, but Amari Cooper, he's got Derek Carr, who we just talked about, who has been getting better every single year. They've added weapons to that offense. They've added a running game, so they're going to have to respect the run even more so than they did last year. So he should be able to get pretty darn open. And, they added speed threats, which I don't think are going to affect Michael Crabtree's production. Also, I want to bring this up because he is going 3 rounds later than Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper is currently going in the 2nd round, where both years, 2015 was Michael Crabtree's first year in Oakland, and Amari Cooper's rookie year. Michael Crabtree outplayed him, 146 catches, 146 targets, 85 catches, just under 1,000 yards, and 9 touchdowns. His second year, outplayed Amari Cooper yet again, 145 targets, 89 catches, so he had less targets with more catches. He had more yards, he had over 1,000 yards, and 1 less touchdown. So, he is consistent, he is very good. Amari Cooper, yes, going into the magical 3rd year, but I'm just saying, I think these guys should be going a little bit closer together than they are right now. What are your guys' thoughts here?
Well, listen, if Michael Crabtree is in the 5th, absolutely I'm taking him. But I agree with you. He needs to go up higher. Me personally, I think I will be looking for Michael Crabtree in the 3rd round. I think that's where he needs to be. Amari Cooper should not be going in the 2nd round. That is just atrocious. Come on, look, I know the kid's got talent, but dude, let's see it come to fruition. Come on, let's get 16 games of that before we start putting this dude in the 2nd round. Can we do that first?
One of the most inconsistent players in the league last year.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, Michael Crabtree, he is that guy. Derek Carr looks for him. He's that dude. They continue to grow with their relationship. So I absolutely, if he's in the 5th, I'm taking him, but I think he should go in the 3rd round.
Jason?
Yeah, I would agree with that. Amari Cooper is a very good player, and he's going into his 3rd year, and everything, and he got a great quarterback. Everything is trending in the direction that Amari Cooper should have a breakout season this season. So I understand why Cooper's going as high as he is, because everyone's expecting that. But Michael Crabtree has been more consistent game to game. He's always there. He's that veteran presence, and he's just very, very good. And we talked about this many times on the show. These 2 guys, Amari Cooper and Michael Crabtree, should go very close together because you're banking on that high floor from Crabtree and you're banking on that high ceiling for Cooper. So the fact that he's going 3 rounds later, that's not smart. He should be going closer to Amari Cooper. I agree with CJ. I'd probably be looking for him in the 3rd round.
Yep, Amari Cooper, to this point, not really used in the red zone. He's been that super high floor, low ceiling guy, boom bust, very inconsistent week to week. So this is just the rule that we've been saying all offseason. We were even saying this last year. Amari Cooper's going to go, and Michael Crabtree will be sitting there. So you go with the one that's a better value. I've seen mock drafts where Michael Crabtree goes first, and that could be based off last year's numbers. So I always approach this, when one goes, I queue up the other one, because that's probably where they're going to go. If you can get Michael Crabtree in the 5th round, you're getting a guy who, again, finished as a wide receiver 1 last year, and he was a mid-range wide receiver 2 years ago, so he's improved. I don't see him dropping off anytime soon. That is amazing value in the 5th round, where a lot of people are going to be doing one of a couple things depending on their draft strategy. They're going to be looking at tight end and quarterback. They're going to be looking at flex players, and you're getting a guy who could easily finish yet again as a wide receiver 1. I think worst case scenario with his consistency, probably a wide receiver 2. And that, again, you're looking for that value usually in the 3rd, not the 5th round. So that's great value, an amazing steal. So keep an eye out for Michael Crabtree, and we'll let you know if his stock keeps rising. It's been floating somewhere around the 5th round as of late. Who do you guys want to do next?
I guess we just go down the list, man.
We can go down the list.
Go down the list, yeah.
All right. Just want to do that. I didn't know if you guys are burning to get after one of the guys that you put on the list. So we'll just go down the list.
No, we talked about that earlier. We said go down the list.
I know.
I guess you didn't hear us.
Selective hearing when you guys talk. So we'll move on to
true.
Josh Doxson. Now, Josh Doxson, we've heard a ton of good news coming out about him from Washington's camps. He's been looking very good. He's been looking explosive. He looks like he's back to form. We also heard that he will be playing Pierre Garçon's role in the offense, which Again, Pierre Garçon last year had 114 targets, 79 receptions, over 1,000 yards. The only knockoff was they only had 3 touchdowns, but that's something that could easily go up. I think Josh Doctson is a much better athlete than Pierre Garçon, especially at this point in his career. Of course, we have to see it from Josh Doctson because this will technically be his rookie year, but he was a first-round pick for a reason. He's an incredibly talented guy. And just so you guys have an idea of where people are going around him, he's going in the 13th round. Terrell Pryor's going ahead of him, as he should be probably, going in the 3rd round. But then Jamison Crowder, who's going to be playing the slot, he's going in the 7th round. So I don't know about you, but the difference from 7 to 13 has me taking Josh Doctson all day. That return on value is just too good to pass up. I like Crowder. I do, and we know what we're getting out of him, but I think that Josh Doctson, playing the role he's going to be playing, is going to be more heavily used in the offense, where Jamison Crowder is going to be more of a dump-off kind of guy who can break some tackles and make some good things happen. We saw good tape from him last year. What are you guys' thoughts?
This is a risk mitigation thing. Guy hasn't done anything yet. I understand your thought process. He's got the talent to finish better, but so far we haven't seen it. With Garçon being gone, he'll probably get an uptick. So maybe he goes a few rounds earlier. But I don't know yet. I really honestly don't know. I got to see something. It's almost like a rookie coming in because he really hasn't done much.
I look at him like people were looking at Sammy Coates when the Steelers drafted him. They said he had great skills coming out of college. Only thing was concerned about him was his hands, and then they just needed to see him play. But they said he was a great overall talent. Now look, we've seen what Sammy Coates can do. He has issues with those hands. I'm on the assumption. Look, they did it. They did the same thing for Josh Dawson. They were praising him, comparing him to some great receivers. But I got to see it because he was injured. So with this being his first year, I think you have to go with this same approach with anything. That this is a rookie guy. This is a rookie guy. So the rookie class, if you're going to put him, if he's a rookie, basically you're playing him like a rookie, and he's going in this class. Is he up there with the same class of receivers that are out there right now? Now he's probably ahead of Corey Davis because you already know what Corey Davis' situation is. It's arguable to say he's up there with Mike Williams with his situation he got going on there. And then you're probably going to put him ahead of John Ross. Just because of the injury history, but there's a lot of upside with John Ross with Cincy, man. So that's one thing. So he's probably leading the pack, arguably number 2 probably in this draft class. But for me, still, because he's a rookie and the situation that's going on with him, I need to see it first. So I need to wait until training camp. Need to wait till preseason just to see how he's flowing in this offseason so I can be able to get a good feel on him. But just off name alone, I'm probably drafting him where he is in the 13th round because I really don't know nothing about him.
All right, so this was not the unified front I thought this one was going to be.
Not on this one, I don't think.
No.
Well, bottom line, Josh Doctson, we know the talent, we know the tape from college. We know he's been in the offense for a year now. Of course, he was injured, but he's been learning the offense. We've been hearing all this good stuff out of camp, that he's been looking healthy, looking good. And, he's going to be playing a role that's heavily used in the offense. So I think on volume alone, he's going to be worth way better than a 13th round pick is simply where I'm coming from on this one. But I guess let's move on. Are we all in agreement with this next guy?
This is Kenneth Dixon.
Well, wait.
We'll see.
Wow. Okay,
Let's
so
find out.
this is why we do meetings before the show, but apparently, what are they for? Kenneth Dixon going in the 8th round, top of the 8th. Now, I brought up Kenneth Dixon for a number of reasons. He's going, like I said, in the 8th, while Terrence West, who was the starting running back, is going in the 10th round. 10:02, and Danny Woodhead is going in the 8:08. And this is interesting to me for a number of reasons. One, of course, Kenneth Dixon, he's going ahead of both of these guys, yet he's suspended for 4 games. Then when he comes back, Terrence West is still that early down guy, and he's going to be splitting the role with Danny Woodhead. I'm sure they're going to get creative ways to get all these guys on the field all the time, but even last year when it was just Terrence West and just Kenneth Dixon, the split was Terrence West had 193 carries to Kenneth Dixon's 88 carries. That's basically a 70-30 split of the offense. So, and now he's coming in with Danny Woodhead there. I just don't know how you can say that an 8th round pick is worth that kind of muddled backfield participation and a guy who's going to be suspended. If you're drafting him in the 8th round, you're most likely going to be dropping him come the first bye week. So I just think that's way too early for Kenneth Dixon. What are your guys' thoughts?
the fact that he's suspended for the opening of the season, that's tough, and I can kind of see pushing him down my rankings because of that, and I did. I pushed him down my rankings because of that. So, what's the argument you're making that he should be taken after Terrence West?
He should be taken after both of these guys. He's missing 4 games, and both those guys are going to have established roles in the offense by the time he gets back. He's going to be working, trying to find his way in to get touches. I mean, the Ravens, they are very, once they find something that works, they're going to do it. And not to say they're not going to come up with packages. They're going to use him probably 2 backs out of the backfield, splitting with Woodhead and Dixon probably going out wide or going into passing downs. But I don't know. I don't think he's going to have enough volume to be able to return even for an 8th round pick with how muddled that backfield is, and that there's a guy like Danny Woodhead, which I would say is an even better pass catcher than Kenneth Dixon, and Terrence West was shown to be just as good as a runner as Kenneth Dixon was last year. No, Kenneth Dixon is going to his 2nd year. He could take a big step forward, but I'm just saying, the situation, to me, there are plenty of other guys I'd rather take around him in the 8th.
I have no faith in Terrence West. That's the only reason I asked about that, because I think if you had a choice between Dixon and West, you would take Dixon. But the fact that he's suspended and the fact that backfield is so muddled, I'll go ahead and agree with that. I think 8 is probably a bit high for him. I would probably take him down a few more rounds.
Well, here's a couple of players going around him, and let me know what you guys think. Players going around Kenneth Dixon right now. There's Frank Gore.
Right.
Would you take Frank Gore or Kenneth Dixon?
We'll talk. Well, we'll talk about that in a minute.
Well, just for the sake of this argument right here.
Right.
Me personally, I'll go Kenneth Dixon. I'm not a big Frank Gore fan this year.
Jason?
Of course, I think Frank Gore.
All right. What about Emmanuel Sanders?
Kenneth Dixon.
Emmanuel Sanders.
Emmanuel Sanders. All right. So split again. Stephon Diggs is going right around there.
Dixon.
Diggs.
Still split. What about Samaje Perine?
Perine.
Probably Perine.
Yep. Let's do one last one because this one's interesting because this is a guy I bet is going to be dropping. Corey Davis.
Wow.
That's just as muddled a situation as the one that Kenneth Dixon's in right now with all those mouths. Dixon.
Yeah, Dixon.
All right. So you could again, based on your stance, you guys kind of proved my point. You could go a lot of different ways around a guy who you're going to be drafting and then sitting on your bench for at least 4 weeks, and then is going to have to work his way into the offense trying to get snaps. So that's my hesitation. Right. I think his return on value would be much better down around where Terrence West is going in the early double digits, just because again he's going to be missing a quarter of the season, which is quite a bit of your fantasy season. So, all right, let's move on. Next guy on our list is the aforementioned Frank Gore, going as the 7th pick in the 7th round. So, Jason, why don't you tell me about Frank Gore?
Well, we've talked about this a lot. Frank Gore right now, if you look, is going as the 34th running back off the board. Given the fact that he finished 12th this last year, that's a little ridiculous. He is the starter there, and no one's going to supplant him just yet. And every single year, this guy finishes as a running back 1 or a running back 2. And right now he's going, like I said, he's going as the 34th running back off the board. So I think that's ridiculous for a guy that has gone over 1,000 yards 9 of his 12 years in the league. I know that CJ thinks he's going to have a big drop-off this year, but, he went up from the year before to this year, that second year in the system in Indianapolis. This is his 3rd year in the system in Indianapolis, and 3rd years are very important, even going from one system to another. So I think that Frank Gore will at least do as well as he has done in the past and finish around a high-end 2 or a low-end 1.
Yep, 2 years in Indianapolis, 2 years as the number 12 running back. CJ, you're the lowest on Frank Gore. So what do you think? Do you think this is an appropriate value? Because I'm with Jason's line of thinking here. I think that this is kind of a steal for a guy who has been as productive as he's been. And I don't think Robert Turbin, that doesn't really change anything to me. Marlon Mack coming in will probably be a really big change of pace guy. But I think that Frank Gore is still going to be the workhorse and definitely going to be the red zone back.
I can see you guys' argument, but I just look at, you mentioned some names that's going around that same round. I'm probably going up at least 90% of all those other names rather than Frank Gore, just because how I feel about it. I really don't like him this year. I know that he's been producing other years that he's done it, but it's just the overall offense. I still really don't believe that they've done enough going into this season to help out the quarterback, to help out their offense. So that's kind of what my thinking is. And until that gets better, and even when it does get better, he's probably not even going to be in the league then. So it's like I don't even. They're not on my radar, and he's not on my radar either. Just because I just don't want no parts of that offense especially when it comes to the running back.
As a rebuttal, you mentioned that they didn't do anything. Well, I mean, he finished 12th overall last year, and if they didn't do anything, what's to say he can't do the same thing he did last year?
I got you. And if you got a part of that, hey, all power to you. You got a steal, and you got somebody that performed at our offense. Me personally, I'm not looking for guys that are in crap situations when it comes to offensively, and then just hoping on a prayer that they're going to be able to produce it again. I mean that's a very shoehorn approach that you think that he's going to do it again. Like that, I don't think he's going to do it again. And I think I'll be that's a little too much. That's a little too much gas for me to be able to go into the season and think that he's going to be able to do it again.
Well, don't forget that in the 4th round, they did draft Zach Banner, who specializes in run blocking. So, I mean, definitely a guy who could be helpful in that offensive line. All right.
And he's already done it twice with Indianapolis.
Exactly.
So I understand the hesitation. I mean, he's an old back. That guy's got a lot of wear on his tires, but given what he's done, I mean, he's solid. He hasn't missed a game in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years. So, I mean, I don't know.
Gosh, don't want no parts of it.
All right.
Is it an age thing, or is it just what you've seen though? Like primarily, what's the main thing?
I watched. It's like watching paint dry with that offense and then seeing him do it. So it's like the finished product is awesome. But just from what I've seen, it feels like it takes a long time for that to happen. They have a lot of 3-and-outs. They got a lot of penalties and them going from behind and him getting yards. So, yeah, it looks good when the finished product. But watching, it's not fun and exciting to me game after game watching them play and seeing him in the offense because it's a very slow process for him getting those points.
That's fair.
And that's how it is. So I really don't. That's why that's a part of why I really don't want to have no parts of that.
Well, he did get 8 touchdowns last year, which is good. 4 passing, 4 rushing, over 1,000 yards. And he's averaging around 4 yards a carry, very consistently around 260 carries. So, I mean, that workload alone to me is comfortable, and I think 7th round is a very good value for him. I think he'll probably end up going a little bit higher than this, and you think he should be later. And that's, I think, why he's going where he's going. So, again, that's why we're debating these average draft positions. Let's move on to this next guy, which I'm not sure if we'll be split on or not. I know that at least Jason and I are going to probably go the same way here. John Brown, wide receiver, Arizona Cardinals, currently going as the 2nd pick in the 10th round. Why? Jason, talk to me about John Brown.
I understand people's hesitation about John Brown. He had a bad year last year, but that bad year last year was due to several things, including mainly his health. He had a cyst in his backbone. He had the sickle cell thing he didn't even know he had until that year. So I get it. This is a guy with a wide receiver 1 upside, and every report that we've heard this year so far says that he looks much more healthy than he did last year. And we did hear reports last year that he looked slower, that he didn't look like himself, that something was off. So the fact that we're hearing good things is that's definite upside for John Brown. This guy is going to be the number 1 guy in Arizona whenever Larry Fitzgerald hangs it up. And that is a high volume offense. They're going to be passing the ball a lot. So, and as we've mentioned before, when he's healthy, which he's going to be this year, we're talking about Antonio Brown level ability as far as his route running and speed. So I definitely think 10th round, if he's there in the 10th round, that is a ridiculous steal. And I would definitely look for him much, much earlier.
I think a lot of it is simply that people saw what he did last year, and I don't think necessarily everyone knows the contributing factors around it, because the talent, like you said, is all there. I don't know if I put him on the same level as Antonio Brown, but I mean, incredibly talented, ridiculously fast. I mean, and a high volume offense. And I know that, there's a lot of young up and coming talent, but as a whole, you have to assume that defense took some amount of a step backwards. So, I mean, if there are even more shootouts, who's going to thrive? Players like John Brown. So I think on volume and opportunity, and if he can stay healthy, you're looking at a guy who should be going probably somewhere closer to the early middle rounds as opposed to here in the double-digit rounds. So John Brown in the 10th is a complete steal for me, because he should easily finish as a wide receiver too if he stays healthy. CJ, what are your thoughts?
Listen, I like quarterbacks. I like wide receivers that have good situation with their quarterbacks.
Here it comes.
John Brown and him and Carson Palmer. They've shown, even when we were watching the series All for Nothing, they showed that they have a good thing going on there. So I can see this being something, that you probably want to. He should probably go up higher, but with that injury and everything that's going, that injuries happen, and I haven't yet see a full healthy season going on with him yet. I need, to me, I got to see it. So I'll take him. I'll wait for him at the 10th. I think that I need to see it, and then I already feel about Carson Palmer, so I need to see it. So I think this is appropriate seeing him in the 10th for me.
Really, in the 10th. All right, and there's the
wow.
There's the split that we were talking about. Though I think that we made enough valid points to hopefully have swayed you, but apparently not. All right, so let's move on to this next guy, who is Ted Ginn Jr., now of the New Orleans Saints, who is currently going as almost a 14th round pick. He's going as the 11th pick in the 13th round. So, Jason, you put this guy up. Why don't you tell me why this is ridiculous?
Well, I mean, look where he is. He's now with pretty much the best passing quarterback in the league, maybe one of the best passing quarterbacks in history, in Drew Brees.
Oh, you can easily say that.
Alone, easily.
Record-breaking.
On volume alone, you should probably think that this guy is going to get more passes going his way than he did when he was in Carolina. He's still extremely fast, and he's the kind of guy that they really like to have there. I think he's sort of a poor man's Brandon Cooks. I would definitely not say he's as good as Brandon Cooks, but he's still got the speed and the route running ability and the hands. So I think that this guy should go higher than in the 13th round. I'd be looking for him probably in middle rounds.
Yeah, it's kind of insane. I mean, with the Panthers, which, as we all know, is not nearly the staple of passing that the Saints are. I mean, he was still getting, 750 some yards, 4 touchdowns, which is not outstanding, but it's pretty darn good. And I think that, again, like you said, with the vacancy of the position of Brandon Cooks, which I think that Willie Snead is mostly going to assume that role, but Ted Ginn is going to come in and be that definite speedy guy. He's going to be used a lot on those out routes. I think that he's going to be worth a pick, which is considerably higher than this when it's all said and done. I think people are just unsure. They don't know where all these touches are going to go. I mean, it was 78 receptions that Brandon Cooks had last year. So you have to make that up somehow, some way. What do you think is a good round for Ted Ginn Jr.?
I think that 9th round would be a good round.
Because we're talking 117 targets.
Yeah. I'd be looking for him more like in the 7th, maybe 6th round.
I'm more inclined to be thinking more where CJ is. Probably 9th round is probably where I'd be starting to consider him. Because I think, obviously, you have Michael Thomas who's going in the 2nd round. I think that Willie Snead will probably going somewhere 6th, 7th. And then I could see Ted Ginn Jr. going somewhere in the 9th, 10th. I just think basically a 14th round pick is just way too late for a guy who has this much of a ceiling. I mean, that late in the draft, you're looking for, shots in the dark and upside, which is what Ted Ginn is. But I think that with volume and in a better, the best passing offense that he's ever been in his life, I think that he's going to be able to produce a floor that's going to be worth a pick that's higher than that. So this could be a guy that could be quite a steal if you're seeing him as you get late in the double-digit rounds, a guy to definitely think about picking up. He could be a pretty nice sleeper addition to your team. Next guy, we have Ted Ginn. We just did Ted Ginn. Tyler Lockett, who is going in the 14th round as the 4th pick in the 14th. Now, Tyler Lockett is kind of a polarizing guy for a couple of reasons. He's going to his 3rd year, which, of course, we know everybody likes. The big downer is that he didn't have a fantastic sophomore year, but we all know what was going on there. Russell Wilson was banged up. Tyler Lockett was banged up. He didn't play the full season. He didn't get a huge jump in yards and touchdowns. He's much more of the speedy deep threat guy, but I think in his 3rd year, he's primed to take that next step. Also, one big thing you have to remember is that he handles returns. So if you're in a league that gets you return yards and all any points that come along with that, he is a super good sneaky pick for your league. What are you guys' thoughts on Tyler Lockett here? Because I think that you guys are split on this one.
I mean, I agree with you. I think he can definitely go up just because everything that he can do in that offense. You did see, before he got injured, him and Russell Wilson Russell Wilson was definitely looking for him on those deep balls, and he was getting them. I definitely agree with you when it comes to return game. He's really good with them when it comes to special teams play. So all of those are upsides that you should be looking for when you look at him, and then you could be able to get him up earlier than the 14th. Now, if he falls all the way to the 14th and you see him there, I think that is an absolutely great steal for you for your bench. But I think he can go a little higher. I before the show, I think I said that 10th round would be good for me. I think the 10th round is better appropriate for him.
Jason?
I'm not as high on Tyler Lockett as you guys are. I still, even having said that, I still think that's a bit low for him. You should probably take him a couple rounds earlier than that, but not much. I mean, he really hasn't done a whole lot yet. He is going into his 3rd year, so that's good. But I don't know. I haven't seen that connection between Lockett and Russell Wilson just yet. Until I see that, I'm not willing necessarily to take a shot on him in the middle round. So I kind of agree with you guys. He definitely should go a bit earlier, but not much.
Well, I mean, I'm not saying that this should be like a 5th or 6th round pick. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
But, last year he had around 600 yards, and, he didn't get very many touchdowns. He had 1 receiving touchdown. That's the big knock against him. It was a 57-yard touchdown, which is fantastic for fantasy leagues. But, he was banged up. Russell Wilson was banged up. That offense kind of struggled for a while. Jimmy Graham getting kind of integrated there and getting back to being healthy as well, being much more of the red zone threat. But you saw some good things happen, especially as the season went on. I mean, you look from about week 10 on, and you could see just a pretty consistent upswing in his targets and his production. And then, week 15, he had 7 receptions for 130 yards and his touchdown. So I think that if he continues to build, he's going to be a nice pickup. And again, if you get return yards, holy crap, that's nice, because he had over 50 returns. He handles kickoffs and punts. So there's some points to be had there. And, very talented guy doing it as well. So you could get some touchdowns through that. So this is where we talk about, and we talked about this on, what's today? Friday. On Tuesday's show, we were talking about know your league's rules and in scoring formats. So I think he's going to get an uptick in volume. Russell Wilson can stay healthy. The running game is going to require more respect, so I think the passing game is going to have a little bit more flexibility and ability to run. I'm not saying, again, 5th, 6th round, but like CJ said, if you take a shot at this guy in the 9th, 10th round, kind of like we were just talking about Ted Ginn, I think he could be a pretty decent return there. So if you see him still sitting there and you can scoop him up in the 14th round, that is a steal. So watch his ADP, because he could be a guy that you could get as a serious sleeper late in your drafts. Let's move on to the next guy, Spencer Ware, currently going in the middle of the 3rd round. CJ, talk to me about Spencer Ware.
Well, Spencer Ware, man, you see where he's going, man. That should give you a little bit of a hint to see that this is ridiculous. I mean, this guy, his offense is basically saying that they wanted to replace him. I mean, they go get a guy, Kareem Hunt. You see the reports coming out there saying he looks good. Now you might be on the same boat saying, hey, let's take it easy with the rookie thing. But look, you see this guy's production. He continues to go down and down each year, and touchdowns are not looking good when it comes to this dude, man. So you look at this dude, Kareem Hunt. He looks like he's the real deal when it comes to that, man. Kansas City's most likely going to make that make that move. So I really don't believe that Spencer Ware is going to be the starter. I think he's going to lose his job when it comes to Kareem Hunt. And even if you do draft him, I think it's way too high to try to pick him up in the third round when this guy is most likely going to be losing his job. So I'm just putting that out there. He should be falling. You really shouldn't even be looking at him until probably maybe, I'm going to say 7th or 8th. You know, for me, if you want to take a shot at him, but that's why that's my thinking behind Spencer Ware.
Jason?
Yeah, I pretty much completely agree with CJ. I definitely would not take Spencer Ware in the third round. I don't think he's going to be the starter, and I definitely think his production is not going to be great this year because I think he's going to drop to being that number 2 guy. So yeah, I completely agree with CJ.
Spencer Ware, I think his current value is based on a lot of contributing factors. For starters, everyone knows Jamal Charles is no longer there. And, they saw him as a starter last year. He was viable at times. He was not the most consistent running back in the world. He started off the season kind of strong. He had a couple in the middle, where he had 7 rushing attempts, 13 attempts, 17 attempts, 14 attempts. So that's not a huge amount of production. That was with Charkandrick West there. Like you guys said, Kareem Hunt is there, who we're all thinking, and by a lot of accounts, this was a guy who was supposed to be probably going in the second round. Some projections, which I thought were kind of crazy, had him going late in the first, but they picked him up, they snagged him in the third round. He's very talented. I think he's going to be in a serious timeshare like he was with Charkandrick West last year. I think eventually Kareem Hunt will take the role and become the starter. And this is a guy who's also not the pinnacle of health. He has not played a full season yet. So you're investing a third-round pick in a guy who has a narrative around him of being a starter, which realistically probably won't be the honest truth starting the year and definitely won't be the situation as you go through the year. So I don't know if this is a guy you're going to be able to wait much longer on because that's his ADP. But yeah, I would be... Did you say around that you were thinking about, Jason?
No, I did not. I agree with CJ though. Probably right at 8.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, definitely middle rounds for me would be a spot where I'd be. If he was still there, I would think about it because depending on the way the situation plays out, and I wouldn't necessarily say upside, but just opportunity and potential volume, I would take a stab at him. But yeah, there's no way I'm spending a middle third round pick on Spencer Ware. It's just way too murky there. It's not a good situation. So that's a guy we'd recommend watching and probably passing on. Though everybody's got their own take. I just know that this is our opinion, and if you look around the industry, I have found that most people agree with this analysis. There are not a lot of Spencer Ware truthers out there. And let's move on to this next guy who is Golden Tate, who is going currently in the middle of the 6th round. Guys, talk to me about Golden Tate.
Oh, Golden Tate. I think this is very criminal. I mean, you saw what he did with Matthew Stafford towards the end of the season. I think just that alone, you gotta look and say, you know what, hey, this guy is gonna do really good work. This might be a really career year for him. In Detroit, and I just think when you look at the lay of the land, when you look at the 6, man, that this dude's production alone, what he did, man, he should be a fourth, maybe early 5th round pick, but he should not be going in the 6th. Personally, I think that he needs to be going in the 4th, late 4th, or middle of the 4th or late 4th, but he should definitely be going in the 4th round. 6 is way too late. If he's there, you got to steal. But I think he needs to be going up people's boards, man.
Jason?
Yeah, I mean, last 3 years, he's gone over 1,000 yards twice. In 1 year, he went 1,300 yards. That was his first year with Detroit. He's very good. I mean, he doesn't get a lot of touchdowns. That's the big knock on him. If he had more touchdowns, we'd be having a completely different conversation about it. Because, like I said, he did 1,000 yards. He had 91 receptions. He's sort of that guy. I mean, Stafford loves to look for him. So I agree. I think he should probably be a bit higher than where he's going.
Yeah, this is a guy who was very interesting to watch going to last year. If you were still following the show that early on with us, that we were reporting, and we talked about this a bit this offseason. Everything we heard was, he was going to be the one. Calvin Johnson retired, but he was having a very hard time picking up Jim Bob Cooter's offense. In fact, we saw Marvin Jones shine through the first 4 to 5 weeks. Of course, having that one monster game where everybody, jumped ship and started trading for him like crazy. In fact, I took that opportunity to sell high on Marvin Jones and got some good return on value for him, but that's another conversation for another day. Regardless, from basically that point on, starting week 6, Golden Tate took the reins of the offense and never looked back. He finished as a wide receiver 2, pretty middle of the pack, but if you projected him out over the full season at the pace he was on from week 6 on, he finished squarely as a wide receiver 1. So this is a guy who, he has a very established rapport with Matt Stafford. They're going to throw the ball. They are a high volume passing offense. That's why I like their backs more in PPR than I do in standard leagues, because they don't rush a ton. And he's going to get volume. He's going to get opportunity. He's going to get used in the red zone. He's a guy who, like CJ said, he should be going much higher than this. I think he's not really a household name. It's not a sexy pick. A lot of people see Golden Tate and they don't like the upside. But in reality, the opportunity and the volume are there. His floor is considerably higher than a lot of people going around where he is right now. And his ceiling, as we said, has him being, a potential wide receiver 1 value. So 6th round, that is somebody you should definitely think about picking up if you see him there in the 6th, maybe scooping up a little bit earlier than that. It's just good value. And it's a name that people are going to pass on. They're going to be going for, there's Sammy Watkins and other players who are going in close proximity to him, where Golden Tate, much safer pick. At least that to me. What do you guys think? I think you would agree, Golden Tate, much safer?
Yeah,
yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for us today, everybody. Of course, a lot more guys to talk about, but we'll get to that in future episodes, I'm sure. If you guys enjoyed the show, which everybody really liked our mid-round values, we'll get into some sleeper episodes down the line, things of that nature. So make sure you guys keep on coming back, and make sure you guys come back on Tuesday when we will be doing a contrarian mock draft. Now, our Contrarian show is actually one of our most popular shows that we've done within the last month or so, based on downloads and viewer counts. So we're going to take it one step further, and we're going to basically, all 3 of us, we're going to join a mock draft together. This is going to be a live mock draft, and we're going to be drafting in a style that directly contrasts what we do, and we're going to see what we learn through that process. So it should be fun, and we're probably going to be hating ourselves for what we have to do, so it should be interesting.
I feel dirty already.
I know, right? It's I've got to hate everything because I know I'm going to end up having to go like early quarterback, and I'm going to want to throw up all over my computer. So that's what we're going to be doing on Tuesday. Make sure you guys tune in. Check that out. It'll be live, so we'll see what happens. Also, remember, like we said, the Listener League iTunes Review Challenge is going on right now. It's open. We've got a couple people who have already submitted. If you want to play against us in fantasy football during the 2017 season, there are spots up for grab in our Listener League. All you have to do, go to iTunes, give us a rating, give us a review, and at the end of your review, leave a Twitter handle where we can reach you if you are randomly selected and are going to be able to be a part of the league. And this, the way the league's going to work is still up in the air. We'll figure that out once we get the winners. We'll pull everybody. Last year, everyone voted for an auction-style draft. No IDP, which was sad, but half-point PPR was a lot of fun. So if you want to play against us, again, iTunes, rating, and review. Doesn't have to be 5 stars, though. We greatly appreciate it because that helps the show out a ton, especially if you can't go to Patreon. Everyone's different financial situations. This is the easiest way to support the show without, opening up your wallets. But if you can do the latter and you want some really cool perks to go with it, head over to patreon.com/thefantasyfootballfanatics. We appreciate the support, and of course we give back with bonus advanced conversations and shows every week in addition to the ones you have here. You can find most of this information and articles and our rankings on the website, thefantasyfootballfanatics.com. Now, I know some people, because we've gotten questions, Fanatic, Fanatics. People are trying to do like addict with like D's and stuff. It's Fanatics, the word. So I'm just putting that out there. Yep, Fan Addicts. All right.
Addicts of fans.
Yes. thefantasyfootballfanatics.com. And make sure you guys subscribe. iTunes, Stitcher, Podcast Addict, the works, every Tuesday, Friday. And you can follow us individually. The show, of course, at the FF Fanatics, or you can interact with us, have conversations with us, keep up with the trash talk that we always are having on Twitter. I am at GPalmerFFF. CJ is at CJ Hickman89, and Jason is at Jason Cabrera 13. And post-show, which we kind of talked about when we first opened the show, we're going to talk a little NBA draft. So if you guys want to hear about that, that's YouTube exclusive, found at youtube.com/thefantasyfootballfanatics. Do you guys have any parting thoughts before we sign off?
Guys, I want to say this. Look, I know I put a challenge out there on Tuesday, man, to get those YouTube subscribers up to 270. You guys knocked it out of the park. We got 273. Appreciate you, baby. So now, guess what? Over the weekend, we got to get that thing up 280.
Which
sounds
like a really small number, but considering that this is an audio medium, YouTube is one of those things that always struggles to get subscribers. We get downloads, but we get thousands and thousands of audio downloaders. But we want to keep the YouTube community going. We appreciate you guys, even though you're just looking at my face over here by myself. But this is where we got our roots while we were trying to work out all the details with iTunes and everything like that. So we know we started with you guys. So yeah. We appreciate the support. All right, we are out of here, everyone. Take care. Have a great weekend. We will see you on Tuesday. Bye. Also, I want to say Wawa Peach Iced Tea is amazing. If you have a Wawa near you, this isn't even an endorsement. It's really good. No, I'm saying I wish they would.
Wawa to me is like 2,800 miles away.
Yeah, it's an East Coast thing. If you guys know a place that has really good tea, comment down below. I love tea.